Rock, and I didn't discover until I went to Slippery Rock. Again, this is the transition, the dream. I'm leaving the familiar and I'm going for the unknown. When I go there, I discover that I'm functionally illiterate. Fact, I had a second grade reading level, if not lower. I could barely even write my name. How is it you can go from Reading High School, which is a pretty good school back in the 60s, into a state college like Slippery Rock and discover you can't read and write? Easy. Easy. I was a good athlete, therefore, I guess I'm part of the revenue stream. Or social promotion becomes big, and they just move me on. And before you know it, I'm confused, and they are basically pleased. They meaning for the school system or me. And I find out that I cannot read and write, and I ran into a professor, I'll never forget her, Dr. Ann Bicknell. She's just as clear today as she was 40 years ago. She says to me, she was my Psych 101 professor. She followed me down to the football field, or she knew where the football field was, and she says, "You, sir," she was speaking to the coach, and she said, "Also, you, both of you come here." The coach said, this big mountain of a man, he says, "Yes, may I help you?" She said, "Yes, you can. You. Your name is Vernon?" I said, "Yes, it is, ma'am. You can stay with him and you will be gone in a year. But you can come with me and I'll guarantee you'll graduate. Choose. You have 48 hours. She walked away. I was 2 steps behind her. That was my transition. That was 1969, 70. But again, I had to make a choice. Could I stay with football where my identity was, or would I reach for a new and unfamiliar identity called college, studying, work, sacrifice, dedication? I chose the latter. It could have been 40 years ago I stayed with football, but I died with football. Again, you're pushed or you choose. My mother comes to my aid again. She says very clearly, life is this. If you are forced into a situation, that is change. But if you choose a situation, that's development.
Go ahead.
I like that. That is powerful.
That might be my sermon on Sunday. I
like that. I like that a lot.
good.
Choice, change implies force. Choice implies development.
Yeah.
So we choose. But most times, black males, going back to black males, no one's talking to us.
Okay.
There isn't enough for other black males who we basically emulate, who are maybe mastered themselves and their neighborhood and societies. Our brightest and best have moved out. And what's left are two elements. Those who are young, strong, uneducated, and unskilled, and those who are young, who are old, have proven themselves, raised their children, and tired and own their own homes. That's the dynamics in the inner city today.
Yeah.
And there's no one there.
So, but you made that decision. You walked behind her. You followed her. It had to be difficult though. How did you overcome those barriers and things? What did you do to get yourself to become now Dr. Vernon Carraway, who's a professor and writing books and creating programs? What did you do?
What I did, and that's an excellent question, Nate, because I've been trying to answer that question for the last 20 years. And a lot of it has to do with finding someone in my own age group, whether it's true or false, whether they believe it or not, and wanting to be like them. His name was Ron Hunt. Ron Hunt was the extreme on one side, and I was the extreme on the other side. Ron Hunt, who's now an executive vice president for a bank in Pittsburgh, this guy would go in class, first 2 classes of the semester, not go until midterm, go inside midterm, and show up again at the end. He made maybe 5 or 6 classes and ace it. Ronnie could pick up a book, read it, regurgitate it, put it inside, go inside, ace the exam, and I said, "How do you do that?" He said, "Aaron, there's really nothing to it. It's just nothing more than a simple belief in yourself." I said, "I believe in myself. It's not happening to me." But Ronnie was a physical therapy major.
Okay.
And he could digest theories, concepts, formulas, just like anyone. On the other side, I would read a book. You know how you have highlighters? Well, Ronnie would highlight maybe 2 or 3 sentences in maybe a page. I would go through the book and I would highlight the whole page. Because I thought everything was important.
Yeah, yeah.
But he would spend time with me and teach me what's important. But again, this is a slow, scary process. And fear is always in the back of your mind. You're going to flunk out. And during that time, during the 60s, it was the Vietnam War, which was a neutralizer. It told you, stay in school or go to Vietnam. That's right. I didn't really need it, but it was there.
Yeah.
So my choice of why I chose to follow Dr. Ann Bicknell had a lot to do with I wanted to be more than just someone out of Reading who basically finishes Reading High, goes to the Marine Corps, goes to get a job or works for a steel company. And I also came up when my father was killed at an early age. Violence was so much a part of my life where I held my father at age 10, where he died. I felt the life go out of his body. This very same thing, and I go back to that experience because that's the reason why I built the Langston Du Bois Institute. The Langston Du Bois Institute is named after my son, who was murdered in University Park 5 years ago. And he and I were building this concept when I was going through my doctoral program, and we were talking about all the things you're asking me now, that I named it after him, after his murder. I said I would dedicate my life to make certain that we push this thing forward for an institute for us black males anywhere in the city, because Langston felt the pain as far as all his classmates, and Langston was only at that time 26 years old. He had 5 friends, and they're all dead. Because I moved around a lot.
Yeah.
From Atlanta to Reading to Nashville to Boston to Miami to St. Petersburg, Florida. But his best friends he acquired over 26 years, they were all dead.
Wow.
So this is a snapshot of how much violence is in these kids' lives that I've got to step forward and I've got to provide something.
Yeah.
So this was part of my motivation. Their lives are similar to my own.
A lot of people would think that when you say Langston, they're thinking of Langston Hughes.
Precisely.
But you're talking about your son.
Yes. Langston, his name was Langston Du Bois Lincoln Carraway. Those are the individuals I was studying at Boston University. I'm also a Kingian scholar.
Okay.
And I'm putting on a program tonight at Dickinson College where they have me there as the keynote. And I'm talking about King and how King wrapped all that into the movement. But that's another issue. I won't do it.
That's okay. It's good stuff.
That's good stuff, though.
This whole part here about King is King took the condition of black America, the American flag, the Holy Bible, the Constitution, and Jesus Christ and wrapped it around a movement. You couldn't ignore him. And he articulated in such a way that he couldn't be denied and he couldn't be dismissed as a quack. He had gone to the best institutions of higher learning, and he had his finger on the pulse as to what was wrong with America. And here we are, 45 years later, and we still don't get it.
Yeah.
But my motivation, the Langston Du Bois Institute, what drives me is my son. Every step of the way I'm there, and every program I build. And it's been in existence now for 2 years that I've built 189 training modules around needs that are dealing with transition. It initially began with mentoring. That wasn't big enough. Then it went coaching. That wasn't big enough. Transitions, that's it. Everybody goes through transition, want it, like it or not. You will either choose or you'll be pushed. And most black males are pushed. Because no one's modeling. There's no models. But I am here. I'm going to make a difference.
Amen.
And so tell us about your success. Have you been able to have, academic institutions embrace this and see this as an opportunity to assist and help support a number of these young people? How's that been faring for you?
Outstanding, Pat. God, you nailed me against the wall.
All right.
And this is good because I've been all across the state, and I've yet to meet one institution that turned me away.
Okay.
I've had 12 contracts set up for this semester. And in the past 2 weeks, I lost 9.
Wow.
Mainly because of the budget cuts, where they had to send money back,
Yeah.
and we have made an agreement where I come in and I do a training program for either 4 hours or 8 hours or a day or a weekend or 2 weekends or a course. But all that's been washed away in the past 2 weeks. And it has nothing to do with them wanting it. They want it, but they had to send money back. Our recessionary times are hurting us bad, But I'm still at the point where I have 3 contracts left. But